Today I'm covering one of the most powerful and evil organizations in the world, named Scientology. They believe it as a religion, but others call it a cult. A cult so powerful that it owns Hollywood's biggest stars, controls billions of dollars, and has allegedly ruined the life of anyone who dare to leave. In this video, I'm going to take you back in time from where it all started.
Criminal background. We found out some really interesting things already. I was told when the head of the harassment division in the UK defected, they'd spent £2 million harassing him until that point.
How did a failed science fiction writer create one of the most dangerous organizations in history? How did Scientology turn into a $3 billion business empire that operates more like the mafia than a church? And I wonder, why are the world's most powerful celebrities still defending it? For decades, big names have been pulled into its mysterious trip. But what really happens when you try to leave?
I am the writer of the textbooks of Scientology, but they never specify what's bad. They haven't specified. For instance, right now they say we're breaking up marriages. What? That's a lie. How many times have I been married? I've been married twice. My first wife is dead.
What happened to your second wife?
I never had a second wife. Now, to answer that question is be very unfair.
Scientologists believe they lived before, though, didn't they?
Oh, yes. I don't have Swiss bank accounts. There is a bank account in Switzerland. I don't know how much money is in it, but not very much. They don't believe I'm fantastic. If you saw the number of times I don't follow my orders. Oh, yeah. The one man in the world who never believes he's mad is a madman.
Before there was Scientology, there was a man named Hubbard, a struggling science fiction writer in the 1950s. Hubbard realized something: the real money wasn't in books, it was in religion. So he somehow convinced the world that he had the answers to all life's problems. Hubbard famously told his friends, "You don't get rich writing science fiction. If you want to make real money, start a religion."
Mr. Hubbard, many millions of words have been said and written about Scientology, but I think there's still quite a lot of doubt in many people's minds as to exactly what it is.
If you leave this room after seeing this film and walk out and never mention Scientology again, you are perfectly free to do so. It would be stupid, but you can do it. You can also die.
And that's exactly what he did. He wrote The Analytics, a book that promised to erase all your fears, trauma, and your physical sickness. Then he made sure people ate it up. But soon Hubbard realized selling books wasn't enough. So he transformed his self-help philosophy into a church, giving himself tax-free millions.
No matter at what distance dig is bound to ensue. Everybody would see it go down very plainly. You see, down it'd go.
What started as a self-help movement became something far darker. Scientology didn't just want followers, it wanted power. So they started taking control on Hollywood because they knew fame is the most powerful form of control.
These are the times now, people, okay? These are the times we will all remember. Were you there? What did you do? I think you know that I am there for you. And I do care so very, very, very much. So what do you say? We need to clean this place up? Huh? Okay. Because we're counting on you. Okay? All right? To LRH.
Tom Cruise, one of the most successful actors in Hollywood, isn't just a member, but he's their biggest weapon. The church has treated him like a god, and in return, he has dedicated his career to spreading their influence. This cult has built an army of celebrity followers, and once you were in, there was no way out.
The whole Katie Holmes thing, it feels like she just got sucked into this world and probably freaked out.
You know, at a
by this
time,
entire thing.
listen, at a time, Katie is on my radar. Like, I was like, she wrote a report on me, an internal report on me. I got a stack of reports like this. Like, everybody at the wedding wrote a report on me. That
Wow.
I destroyed the wedding, that I was a bad example of Scientology, that I was running around being like, it just carried, like, I had so many reports. So when I got back from the wedding, I got sent to Florida, to the Mecca, to the hub, where this is where I was being interrogated at first, and then sent back to LA for like kind of reprogramming. Yes, I was after her because she was attacking me, and I was like, okay, I don't care who you are. You're new to this organization. I got some years on you, kid.
Since you were 9, right?
So I'm like, we're not gonna. Okay, I get that you're married to Tom, but in my eyes, I'm a better Scientologist than Tom. So we're like, I don't give a crap about that. So and we all are supposed to be equal, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't seeing that to be true. But then I had it's so funny because I turned so fast as soon as she did what she did and left the way she did. I was like, oh, I had no idea. I had no idea the pressure she was under. I had no idea that she was aware of what was really going on. I had no idea that she was trying to save her daughter. And so I went from like, oh, we're not in that camp too. I will support her 100%. Now, we haven't spoken to each other, and I'm going to tell you about that. When you leave, you can leave quietly, but if you speak out or make any kind of statement against a senior Scientologist, which Tom is a senior Scientologist, he's single-handedly saving the planet. That is the truth. I'm not trying to be funny. That is what we're told. That is what we're told. So if you say anything about him or do something like what Katie did, which was take her daughter and save her daughter's life, she's considered an enemy by that action because it says something about Tom. So she, very often, I don't know that this is true because we haven't spoken, very often they have to make a deal that you're not allowed to speak to any ex-Scientologists. And I would have taken that deal too if my child's life was at stake. And I believe that's what happened. I don't know that that's what happened, but I haven't reached out to her out of respect because I believe that
While researching on this topic, I found out it was never about belief. It was only manipulation. And their most strongest weapon they invented was called the Audit. This machine is called the e-meter. Scientologists say it clears the soul, but in reality, it records everything about you. Every member is required to confess their weaknesses, their fear, traumas, and then the church gives it all. The shocking part is, Scientology isn't just a cult after all. It's also a business. A tax-free billion-dollar empire built on real estate, secret companies, and financial scams. They sold spiritual enlightenment for hundreds of thousands of dollars, and all this money went into offshore bank accounts and the pockets of David Miscavige, the leader of the church. While the followers live in horrific conditions, Miscavige is living like a king.
Says she is being harassed by the Church of Scientology for speaking out. Still, she is pressing forward with her lawsuit.
my whole life I was a very dedicated Scientologist.
Famed former Scientologist Leah Remini on her A&E series, Scientology and the Aftermath. Remini used the series to expose what she says were horrific abuses inside the church.
Get them out of this thing.
One of the women who appeared on the program filed a lawsuit today accusing the church of physical and psychological abuse.
She was born into this organization.
The alleged victim's attorney says even though their client appeared on Remini's show, they now want her identity protected because of what they say is ongoing harassment. We are not identifying her.
Her family is still involved in the organization, which makes it that much harder to just break free of everybody, knowing that the consequences are your family's going to basically disown you.
In the complaint, attorneys for the woman say she was born into the church in 1979. She was placed in what's called the Sea Org for the church's most devout members. In 1994, at age 15, she was moved out to the church's Hemet location, where she remained for 12 to 13 years, they say cut off from the world. The alleged victim's attorneys say their client was once close with the church's leader, David Miscavige, but fell out of favor, and they say she was placed in what's known as the hole for 3 months, which is in essence solitary confinement before being forced to do physical and manual labor. The alleged victim says she escaped once with the help of an actor who starred in one of the church's promotional videos.
She was able to sneak out in the trunk of one of those actors' cars.
The lawsuit says the alleged victim returned to the church after her family urged her to. She finally left in 2017 and appeared on Remini's show. The church released a statement that reads, "The Church of Scientology International has not received the complaint, but from what we have seen in the press, this is another shameful publicity stunt by Leah Remini and one of her employees." The alleged victim is seeking unspecified damages for being held captive and for the physical and emotional abuse. Reporting from Hollywood, I'm Tom Waite, KCAL 9 News.
But here's the darkest part of all. Scientology has been
victim's
accused
attorney
of
says
abuse,
even though their client appeared on Remini's show,
While digging up more on Scientologist victims, I found that Shelley Miscavige, the wife of Scientologist leader, hasn't been seen over a decade, and no one can answer why.
My name is Christy Colbrand, and I was a Scientologist for 36 years, and I'm Mike Render's wife. I was doing courses and taking, counseling at the age of 10 years old.
Right.
So I was like indoctrinated from the beginning. This is the way we live. And so by the age of 16, I was in the Sea Org. That was like considered the best possible thing I could do in our family. So the Sea Organization is like the elite core of dedicated staff members that work for Scientology. And I was in the Sea Org for 13 and a half years.
What was ultimately the thing that you said, I've had enough?
The way that we were treated. It was just horrible. You should just be able to walk out the door. You should just be able to get up and say, I'm done, I'm leaving.
There have been multiple deaths linked to Scientology, and the most famous case I come across was of Lisa McPherson, a devoted Scientologist who suddenly became unstable, and instead of seeking medical help, the church locked her in a hotel room for 17 days, and she never made it out. Despite everything, Scientology is still standing, still powerful and dangerous than ever.
That is fairly easy. Human misery. There's a great many problems. Human misery, where man has reached perhaps the lowest states of degradation.
Joining us live tonight is David Miscavige, whose formal title is Chairman of the Board of the Religious Technology Center, the organization which manages Dianetics and Scientology. Mr. Miscavige took over as the head of Scientology in 1987 following the death of the church's founder, L. Ron Hubbard. You've been sitting here very patiently for the first 15 minutes. It's your turn. We're going to take a short segment here to talk, and then we'll take a break, and then we've got the rest of the program to talk. Where would you like to pick up on what many in our audience, I suspect, have seen for the first time about the Church of Scientology?
Yeah, well, I think, I guess the first thing I would like to take up is the fact that the intro piece. There's no question that there's some controversy surrounding Scientology, but if you want to look at what the real controversy is, there's been stories like this one that we saw here for the past 40 years, and yet during that time period, Scientology has continued to grow. In fact, it's 25 times larger today than it was in 1980. I would just like to take up a few of the falsehoods that are in there, because I think this explains a lot why you have the controversy. I don't know that Scientology lends itself so well to the press. In this instance, we did agree that we would have your correspondents come in, and in fact, he did have unlimited access to the church. But then you get a piece like this. For instance, something that isn't mentioned in there is that every single detractor on there is part of a religious hate group called Cult Awareness Network, and their sister group called American Family Foundation. Now, I don't know if you've heard of these people, but it's the same as the KKK would be with the blacks. I think if you interviewed a neo-Nazi and asked them to talk about the Jews, you would get a similar result to what you have here.
But as more ex-members speak out, the world is starting to see Scientology for what it really is. Not a church or a religion, but $1 billion cult that won't let go of its victims.